well-staffed and well-funded. The bureaucrats who work at the woke agencies that run government are well-staffed and well-funded. Same with the special interest lobbyists, all well-funded and well-staffed. And guess who isn't well-funded and well-staffed? Conservative state lawmakers. Almost all of them are citizen legislators. They are part-time. They have busy lives with their full-time jobs and caring for their families. And they have little to no staff. When you match their few resources up against the resources of the establishment, it's no wonder that government continues to grow while we continue to lose our liberties. But now, with the State Freedom Caucus Network, we are leveling that playing field. We are helping state lawmakers get the resources they need to fight the establishment. Consider this. All of the big policy fights are happening at the state level. School choice, election integrity, abortion, ESG mandates, critical race theory. Congress is doing a fine job meddling in our affairs and stripping away our freedoms. But on those issues, we need to be organized to fight at the state level. Almost all 50 states are set to gavel into their 2023 legislative session this month. We have spent the past year helping 10 state freedom caucuses prepare for this moment. We gave them training, we gave them staffing support, and we are giving them ongoing communication support. And we've already achieved several victories. The South Carolina Freedom Caucus forced a hospital to shut down their transgender clinic. They did that out of session. No vote was necessary. No legislation was required. The Georgia Freedom Caucus gutted a mental health bill that would mandate insurance coverage for transgender surgeries, provide counseling for pedophiles, and take away your guns through red flag laws. The Mississippi Freedom Caucus stopped a corporate welfare scheme that would have given an unelected bureaucracy the power to raise taxes, levy bonds, and take your home through eminent domain. Our states have gone after governors for going too slowly on tax cuts. Our states have gone after their respective AGs for enabling a progressive agenda. And a lot of this, like I mentioned, was done out of session. We are helping part-time lawmakers become full-time bulwarks against the establishment. So today, we want to kick off the 2023 legislative session by showing support for our brave men and women who are in these 10 state freedom caucuses. We want to show them that we're ready to help them charge up that hill. And to do that, I can think of no one better to help deliver that message than my good friend, Mark Meadows. He needs no introduction, but as a reminder, let me say that he was an original founder of the House Freedom Caucus up here in DC. He was the one who offered the motion to vacate the chair that led to John Boehner's resignation as Speaker in 2015. And through those efforts and his time as President Trump's chief of staff, he has shown the way that I know our state lawmakers are going to follow. So with that, Mark.
Well, Andy, thanks for the great introduction, but I mainly want to just applaud all of you. Obviously, many of you have really stepped out in faith to support the Constitution, support individual liberties and freedoms. And candidly, that's not the easiest place to be. Andy, you and I know that as we've talked to many of these members who have embarked on setting up these state freedom caucuses. As you said, that's where the real work's going to get done. You know, whether it's in Illinois, where you're from, or in Georgia or South Carolina, my new home state. You know, I've had the opportunity to talk to some of the South Carolina Freedom Caucus members there. Let me just tell you, patriots, every one of them are patriots, and it just does my heart good to know that that conservative water is in the well and they're drinking it. So I just want to thank all of you for really being a critical part of setting things right. And I'd like to emphasize just a couple of things. One is you need to plan together. You know, if you're all together, whether it's a group of 2 of you or 10 of you or 20 of you, sometimes you feel like you're David and Goliath. I mean, you're up against the giants in the establishment. We would call them swamp monsters here, but they have all the funding. They have all the powers of control. You know this better than most. But I will say, when you plan together, and then the second part of it, when you vote together, you get their attention real quick. it's amazing how the discussion, and whether you're for Speaker McCarthy or whether you're for Speaker Jordan or anybody else in this House race going on that's unfolding literally while we're taping this. They're on their fourth vote. We've been following it closely, but again, that's a member-led thing. It's not something that Andy can do. It's not something that I can do. It takes the members to actually be part of that. But the real discussions that they're having on transforming the rules and the way that business gets done here in Washington, D.C. would not have happened without a few people getting together and saying, listen, there has to be a better way. Now, the encouragement is in your states, in your respective states, you actually have a fairly normal process. You have amendments that can be made. And so you have some of the tools that they don't even have here in Washington, D.C. But until you're willing to vote together, and until you're willing to take the pressure that literally will come, some of you threats that you'll be unseated, and until you're willing to stand up to that, it's going to be business as usual. And what we can tell you is business as usual doesn't work for the forgotten man and woman. The person on Main Street that is there, that you represent, that you have the ability to not only articulate what's important to them, but stand up and vote your voting card for that forgotten man and woman. That doesn't get articulated. It's the special interest. It's the big money that comes in. And I just want to applaud all 10 of these states who are in different, different forms of development. Some of them are embarking today as day one, as I understand it. So in some of these great states, but also to let you know at the end of the day, that if you're willing to vote together, you're willing to plan together, you're willing to defend each other when the going gets rough, because what they'll do is try to pick off the weak wildebeest, as I say. They'll go after somebody and start to beat up on them. We've already seen that in some of the state freedom caucuses where the establishment leadership has gone after a few. And I've been so encouraged by many of you who are willing to stand together and stand up for the person that may be taking the incoming fire at that particular point. And then the last thing, communicate loudly what your position is to the American people. Because as difficult as you may think it may be there in your halls and your state capitals, on Main Street, people are listening. They're a lot smarter than most of the people in your respective capital will give them credit for. They understand who's authentic and who's not. And so when you're able to articulate that and continue to do that, it'll go well. But again, I applaud all of you. The changes are going to happen in the states. You're going to set the difference. As you were talking about, Andy, all the critical fights that we're having that maybe get highlighted here in DC, the action really is happening in the states. And so I'm excited about what you're doing, about the progress that you've made. And for all of you that have supported this effort, I can tell you that we're already seeing results.
Yeah. It's exciting. And as Mark alluded to, we're kind of breaking news today. At the beginning of today, we had 7 state freedom caucuses, but today we are launching 3 of them in Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, the big Mountain West. So now we're 10 strong, and we hope to add another 10, 15 this year so that we can be in half of the states by the end of 2023. Now, what we're going to do now is kind of go around the horn. We're going to talk to each chairman of each state freedom caucus and get a brief update from what they're encountering down at the local level. So the first person is none other than Chris Miller. He's in studio with us today. He's the chairman of the Illinois Freedom Caucus.
That big conservative bastion of Illinois.
Conservative state. He's got his work cut out for him, but let me kick it over to Chris to say a few words.
Well, hello, you all you patriots. I tell you what, it's a great day to be here and to be partnering with the Freedom Caucus Network, as well as the rest of you patriots, to try to make a difference in our states and make a difference ultimately in America and the way we're governed. But one thing that we always understand in Illinois is that the fight for freedom never ends, and that's that's part of the bad news. But the good news is that we're not descendants of fearful men, and there's men that have gone before us. They fought these fights. That Mark Meadows is sitting here, one of the freedom fighters for a long time, but we're excited for the opportunities we have to push back and stand up and let the voices of people be heard, because it's necessary. We live right smack dab in the middle of America, and right smack dab in one of the biggest swamps that has ever been created. And the Democrats it seems like that they're hell bent on destroying our state to take away opportunity and our freedoms. And right now the gun grabbers and the tax hikers are in charge. And one of the things that we've been doing to try to push back is, I know that we have a strong resolve to try to educate the people. And I know that the 5 guys that are the founders of the Illinois Freedom Caucus, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. we're doing town halls and talking about all the different hot button issues. Right now, one of the biggest issues in Illinois is that House Bill 5855, where the gun grabbers are at it again and want to try to take away our Second Amendment rights. And I know that we've been trying to be forthright and on the front line of educating the people, letting them know what's going on, because there's no easy way, or I'm trying to think what they talk about, common sense, gun control. There's no way to violate the Constitution and ever make it palatable to freedom-loving Americans. And so that's one thing that we're doing on a proactive level. I know that we are, and another thing too is we're trying to make the people real uncomfortable that are not standing up and speaking up, and
The Republicans who are enabling the Democrats.
the Republicans that are enablers. And,
Come on.
no, I know that's shocking news, but it's true. But and one thing I try to remind myself and the rest of our guys is that you don't get shot at unless you're over the target. And the more incoming that we're taking, I feel like the better job that we're doing. So guys, it's no time to shrink back or be apathetic, but we need to lean in. We need to lean into the battle, because it's there and it's right before our eyes. And kudos and tip of the hat to you guys that are actually in red states. You have no idea what it's like being in the People's Republic of Illinois. But anyway, God bless you, and God bless the Freedom Caucus Network, and let's continue to carry the battle to them.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Our next speaker is small in stature, but she is a principled conservative in the state of Georgia, the Georgia Freedom Caucus Chairwoman, Charlize Byrd.
Hey, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you and Happy New Year.
You too.
I appreciate being part of this march towards freedom for sure. There's great news in Georgia for sure. Unfortunately, we lost the Speaker of the House this December, and so we took a vote for a new speaker, and his name is John Burns. And I met with John a couple of weeks ago to talk about the Freedom Caucus. I explained to him that I was the new chair of this organization, and he kindly congratulated me, which is always a good thing. I also asked him for us to become a recognized caucus, to give us office space so that we would become a legitimate caucus, just like other caucuses around the state of Georgia. Black Caucus, I believe they are now starting a Latino and an Asian caucus. So I wanted to be sure that we were on the forefront of that. I told him that this was a great opportunity for me and our organization to grow, because he is a new speaker. There's a lot of new things that may transpire. We also talked about the budget for the state of Georgia. I said that we became the majority in 2005. At that time, we had a $16 billion budget, and we're now $34 billion later. I said, how Republican is that? Let's get back to what is the proper role of government, and not paying and giving out money to any and everyone. So he listened very kindly. He didn't say much of anything, which is not unusual for John Burns. He and I went into the State House together in 2005, so he knows that I am a fiery brand, and we will have many conversations in the coming weeks in his office.
So when
I
you,
know
so when you asked him for office space, did he demur, or did he find something down by the basement bathrooms in the Capitol?
yes, he gave me the janitor's closet.
Well, you need to clean up a little bit. That may not be bad.
I like that idea. So I will probably be in a janitor's closet anyway, along with the office space. But we are ready to go to work. It is certainly a conversation of about the ongoing battle of Part 2 of the Mental Health Parity Act. Nothing has been filed to my knowledge, but they have met over the summer and discussed all of the things that we removed from this past session, which was your red flag laws, which also was the largest expansion of health insurance. So they have been meeting, and I suspect they will come out with more bad stuff in the mental health bill. It is a main topic, it seems like, not only in the state of Georgia, but around the country, that we are all going to have mental health issues and that government needs to take over. We plan to remove sunsets on any and all of our COVID restrictions that were placed in the state of Georgia in the last 2 years. We also have mirrored Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill on the transgender surgeries for anyone 18 and under. We did have a conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene to ask if she would give us permission to add language to stop drag queen shows for our children. Now, we know this is all going to be a battle here in Georgia. We hope that with a lot of new freshmen, that we will be able to touch the hearts and minds of them and to explain to them the importance of getting back to what government is supposed to be, what our Constitution reads, what freedom and liberties are. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Charlize, you're doing great work. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank
You bet. Next up, Mississippi, our chairman, Dana Criswell. Go ahead, Dana.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on in Mississippi. You know, the Mississippi Freedom Caucus existed for about a year and a half, 2 years before we became affiliated with the state network. And last year we affiliated with, so this is our first full year. And I really do think that it's kind of kicked us into an overdrive, better organization, and really focusing on some things by being affiliated. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, what the guys are doing on the House floor right now in DC is helping us a lot, because I've noticed that people ask me about what's going on because I'm supposed to have this inside track, and I just let them think that I know everything going on.
Well, you do. You know as much as anybody here in DC. Let's put it
well,
that way.
and I probably know as much as they do, but I mean, that affiliation has helped give us a little bit of legitimacy that we're connected with some names that they know, and I think that's helped us a little bit. You know, one of the things, we're only 6 out of 122. So, you know, we're a super majority Republican. So we don't have a lot of authority. We can all 6 vote no, and it really doesn't matter. They still pass the bill. Now they notice and they don't like it, but they still pass the bill. One of the things we've tried to do is really focus on grassroots. We came into this organization when combined, all 6 of us, we had an email list of about 20,000. We've grown that email list this year to a little over 100,000.
Wow.
That's a lot in Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, our goal is 300,000. We want 1/10 of, we want 10% of the people in Mississippi, and I think we can get there.
Wow.
But just over this year, we've sent 68 separate communications to our list, and that was a total of over 3 million emails that we've sent out. And because of that, we've got a grassroots group of people behind us that's made some real change. You know, Andy, you mentioned the Region Smart bill last session, where they were going to give eminent domain authority and taxing authority to an organization, a company in Tennessee. And we were able to stop that with 1,000 emails. So, you know, our people, we sent an email out, our people then responded and they made a change. So I think we have found that that's one of the real powers that we have. Just earlier today, I had a conversation with our state treasurer. So we had one of our steering committee members write an email that we sent out and had an action item where we had about 100 people send an email to our state treasurer about ESG. And all of a sudden now then, it is the #1 issue that he gave the press that he wants to address this year. So
good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
yeah, so I mean, nobody in the background knows. He's never going to give us credit. But just today in our conversation, I told him that we will help him any way we can, that we have a network behind us, and we are happy for him to take all the glory and everything, and we will feed him whatever he needs. And I think being associated with this larger network gives me the ability to do that. And I really do think that's been the best thing that we've done moving forward. This year, we actually took our agenda. We actually sent it to all of our 100,000 email list and had them rank in priority what they thought we should do. And so kind of what we're working on is election integrity. That was a big deal for the people in Mississippi. Opposing any kind of gun control. Mississippi has good gun laws, but everybody knows what Biden wants to do, and they want protection from that. Educational freedom's important. Providing a state that's a sanctuary for life is important. ESG is important. So that's kind of the 5 things that we've focused on. And I think we're making some pretty good headway. Like I say, the ESG thing, we've already got our state treasurer that has adopted our view. And I think we've got some other things. I know we're working closely with our Secretary of State, and he says, oh, absolutely, election integrity is one of his top things. So we found that we can push from behind. And it's amazing. We're only 6 of us, but we actually have 100,000 people pushing. So I appreciate the opportunity that the network gives us to be able to have that extra little push. And I think that's been a huge value for us here as 6 in a majority of supposed Republicans. We're actually able to push them to be a little more conservative.
Well, Dana, congratulations. That email list is huge, but getting them to agree to ESG or any of the other things that are critical, listen, it's not about the credit. You know, it was a Ronald Reagan quote. He actually took it from Truman, but it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And this is not about credit. It's about making America better for the people that have been forgotten. And 100,000 of them are on your email list. And so hopefully you'll get to that 300,000 soon.
Yeah, and these state legislatures, they operate largely in the dark. I mean, most people don't know who their state rep is or their state senator, and so just making a little bit of noise, a treasurer receiving 100 emails, that packs a punch.
Oh,
So,
I believe he's scared. He's scared now.
Keep scaring them. All right, South Carolina, Adam Morgan, you're up.
Hey, everybody. Well, thank you for having us, Andy. And just wanted to say everything that you predicted and everything that really all of y'all had told us would happen has come true.
I'm sorry.
I know, yes. Mark Meadows had given us a lot of advice and predictions, and it was amazing how you just saw the future so perfectly. I think I want to start just by saying thank you to both of you and really all of you at the State Freedom Caucus Network. I knew that this was going to change the state of South Carolina. Like I knew that could happen. I knew it was likely to happen. I will say I had no idea how much and how effective it was going to be. One thing that I think all of us have learned, we should have already known this, but how much there is to do, because nobody else, the other Republicans, they don't want to take on the issues that matter most, the things that are really going to change the culture, the things that are really going to solve our main problems. Nobody has the courage to take them on and deal with them. And what we've noticed is, as we've dealt with transgender clinics, or even a popular, let's say, liberal leaning coach like Don Staley, and different issues like that, suing school districts that were blatantly involved in indoctrination of students after saying they weren't. Nobody else would touch those issues. And I've noticed from other people who are not in our caucus, other members, they're kind of shocked that we're doing this stuff. And, they're kind of like, y'all are crazy. And it's like, yeah, maybe it is a little crazy to take on these things. But then when we win, everybody's shocked and applauding, and and wants to come in and take the credit with us.
They will have been with you the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. And even leadership, it's like, oh no, yeah. Well, we supported shutting those down too. And it's like, well, we're the only ones who were willing to take the arrows. I mean, you can imagine what the left just went nuts over the transgender clinic thing. But hey, when we made issue of it, it shut down. And it's amazing when you let the sunlight in, suddenly it solves the issue. So first of all, how much there is to do, but then also how much we can do when we are organized, when we're all on mission, when we're working together. I know that when we went to training and met with y'all and heard the vision and, kind of did the blood oath, that's a joke.
No, it's not.
Like once we did that, we have just really as a group coalesced, and we're a band of brothers and sisters who are in this fight together. And it really is changing the state. A lot of you have already said the things that I would touch on. What I view as the most important thing that has been happening here in South Carolina is because we are really, in a sense, always willing to speak up, always willing to push an issue. It's emboldening all of our allies. And we're finding new allies, and our allies are doing the work for us. They're telling us, hey, did you hear about this thing? Hey, you need to investigate this issue. Hey, and it's like bringing more stuff for us to go out and, new dragons to slay. And so I would encourage all the other Freedom Caucuses and people maybe who are about to start, be constantly nurturing those connections and building that list of allies for all the different issues, because they're really invaluable. And then also just as a caucus, we've just got some really great people. And I feel like we've worked well in finding strengths of different members and letting them run with it. Our vice chair, RJ May, is just fantastic with media and just crushes it. And really, I would say he's the one responsible for why we're in the media so much, is because you have somebody that's really gifted in that area and you just let them run with it. And so you kind of got to find different people's gifts. But it wouldn't happen if we didn't have an organized group who were functioning as a caucus. And it was, it's y'all's support, your staff support, it's your brainchild, and it's just an honor to be a part of it. And it is changing the state of South Carolina. And it's exciting to be a part of it, because I think, we all ran for office to make a difference. We all ran for office to do something. And, I know so many people when they retire, they're like, I guess I did that one bill. I guess I did that one thing. But if you're in this group, in this organization right now, like, it is changing your state. It's never going to be the same. You don't unstart a Freedom Caucus. You don't unstart a movement, a domino effect. And so thank you for letting us be a part of it. And we look forward to more great things, both from our caucus and all of the caucuses around the country.
Adam, thank you so much, and keep up the great work. We've got about 15 minutes left, and so I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So let's see if we can go around the horn a little bit quicker. Aaron Elward from the great state of South Dakota. How's the weather there, Aaron?
Well, I'll just say you guys look a lot warmer there. We got dumped on about 20 inches of snow yesterday. So
Oh, wow.
if you can see behind me in my car, there's a little bit of ice and snow, but now we're doing all right. Thank you guys for putting this on. And I always hear when I got out to Pierre, our state capital, that brevity was important. So I'll keep it short here. One of the biggest issues that we're facing here in South Dakota, a lot of you may see that we're a super majority Republican state, but we have a problem of a lot of Democrats signing up to be Republicans. You start to look at the voting records here in South Dakota, and you'll soon find out that a lot of the folks that say they're Republican truly are not Republican. They don't uphold the party platform or the state and the federal Constitution. So that's a big fight, and that goes all the way from our legislature to the executive office, some other areas of the state as well. If we're looking at key issues that we're focusing on in South Dakota, some of them have been mentioned already, but we're going to be fighting the ESG issue from a few different angles up here in South Dakota. We got a great director in Jordan Mason that's helping us out on a lot of that stuff. And I'll also add with him just being very, very good and being in the press, always having the Freedom Caucus in the press within South Dakota to make sure they know our presence is there. We're also going to be focusing on school choice issues up here in South Dakota, allowing a little more freedom throughout the state with that. Election integrity issues. Also focusing on making South Dakota a sanctuary state when it comes to gun rights, the right to self-defense, and then focusing on some more educational issues as well. But we, one of the main focuses as well that I'll just touch on real quick and then let it go to the next person is, it was mentioned previously, just teaming up with other grassroots organizations across the state, getting on good terms with them, kind of fighting the same fight that they're fighting, and kind of like what was mentioned before, they'll go out there and do a lot of that work for you as well. So those are some of the things that we're focusing on up here in South Dakota. Again, thank you guys for everything that you do, and we're going to continue to push forward here. So thanks.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. And he's right. The grassroots they're hungry for leaders. And now that we have these state freedom caucuses, they have somebody to follow. So thank you. Next up is Jake Hoffman from Arizona. Jake is a beast. This guy helped shepherd in universal school choice in Arizona. He fought so many battles, and they only have small margins in both the House and the Senate. But because of him and his colleagues, they've really done amazing work. And now that Katie Hobbs is the governor, that turned in a direction we didn't like, but now Jake's got a new fight in front of him. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. I am here with a room full of Arizona patriots, Freedom Caucus members. Yes, we're very excited because we went from a handful of members in the last legislative session to now we will be more than 1/3 of all Republicans in the Arizona State Capitol. Yes.
Congratulations. That is great. That's outstanding.
Thank you, Mark. Now, look, I don't need to tell you guys this, but we are in dark times in our country right now. Not just from the radical, organized, funded, evil Marxist left, but also from the establishment within our own party. We have establishment members that block things like pro-life legislation, right? We see it right now in the race for the RNC chair. We see it in the race for the speakership in the US House. But I'll tell you, in this dark political landscape that exists, there is a bright spot, and it is the State Freedom Caucus Network, and it is the Arizona Freedom Caucus, and all of the other Freedom Caucuses from Washington, D.C. to the 10 state capitals that have them. Over the last year, Arizona Freedom Caucus members, we ousted 5 of our worst, most problematic rhinos in the last primary. We maintained our conservative majority and grew it in numbers. And right now we are faced with a radical Marxist in Katie Hobbs. She is racist, she is evil, and she has set an agenda before us, before our state, that is antithetical to everything that the people of our state actually believe in. And it's antithetical to not only our founding principles, but the principles that have made this country the freest, most prosperous nation the world has ever seen. And so the people that will be leading the fight for the next 2 and 4 years at the Arizona Capitol are standing right here in this room with me. The Arizona Freedom Caucus will be the first through the wall. We will stand in the gap and we will refuse to back down no matter what garbage she puts on the table.
Well, I wish you just had just a little bit of energy with that. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Thanks a lot. All right, next up, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is our biggest state Freedom Caucus. I think they're clocking in at 24 members. And leading that charge is Dawn Kiefer. Dawn, go ahead. Dawn, you're either on mute or you're not on. Don't see her? Okay, we'll go on to next. Wyoming, we just launched there today. John Bear is our chairman there. John, are you there?
I am. Andy, thank you so much for having us today. We're super excited to be launching the Freedom Caucus in Wyoming today. And just to give you a little bit of history, first of all, in 2020, 70% of Wyoming people voted for Trump. And yet we have a very purple to blue legislature. It's been this way for decades. Back in 2016, there were about 6 members that kind of gathered together and started fighting the good fight. They were true conservatives. And unfortunately, that was a bit of a social club. I got in 2020 and we started really organizing ourselves. And over the last 2 years, we've really began to push the needle, if you will, towards more conservative values in the state legislature. But unfortunately, we are over the target, if you will, and we take a lot of arrows at that spot. But we know we're in the right place if we're doing that. So,
Well,
yeah.
Congratulations on getting it started. And, you know, as you look at Wyoming, everybody would expect you to not be a purple legislature. They would expect it to be ruby red. So hopefully you can start changing that.
That's absolutely right. We had a great recruiting year, and we just got our own conservative majority floor leader. We weren't able to take the speakership, but now we've got a bit of a split leadership situation. And you can imagine, much like you're fighting in the House today on CNN, we're fighting for the rules so that we can continue to use that position for power and for advancing conservative legislation. And so we're in a fight just over the rules, much like it is in Washington, D.C. today. And I will tell you that the next progression for our group was naturally joining the network. And I think it's going to give us the tools that have already been mentioned here today to really take it to the next level. And I expect us to move from being a social club, if you will, to more of a military unit that's ready to fight and stand in the gap for the people of Wyoming. Very excited about being a part of this network.
Thank you, John. And one thing that I know about Wyoming, and I've seen it in the other states, is the camaraderie that you guys have and the fellowship that you have and the respect for each other is something that makes you even stronger. So you got a great group with you. Thanks, John.
We do.
All right, Tammy Nichols in Idaho. We just launched there today. She's our co-chair. Tammy, are you there?
Here. This is so exciting. Yeah, so on behalf of myself and Representative Heather Scott, my co-chair, and our Freedom Caucus members, we are very excited to be able to take this next step and launch our Freedom Caucus. We've been working very hard over the last several months to get things put together. We have a good base of support, and the word is spreading in our state that this is going to be transpiring. And so now here we are. So we're very excited about that. Idaho is a fast-growing state. We're a good red state, but we've been run by blue management for way too long. And so now we are needing to change that trajectory and go the right direction. We have an amazing grassroots support here in our state, and those people are excited to get going and to help fight for our freedoms. We really believe that Idaho is one of the last bastions in our nation of freedom. And because we've seen what's transpired in other states around us. And so we're trying to maintain and save what we have here in our state. There's a reason that people are flocking here. And so we need to make sure that we're supporting the values and beliefs and conservative principles that so many Idahoans and people that are coming here are in desperate need of. And with the radical agendas that are being pushed in the states, Idaho's no exception. We're not in a bubble, and we know that we have those things to have to fight against. And so we believe that being part of this network will be able to give us those tools and that support that we're needing here to be able to accomplish those things in our state. So we're very, very excited to be able to be part of this process and to be part of this launch. You know, we have many issues that we're wanting to take up, as well as what has already been said. And the other state is a huge thing for us this year. And health freedom, we want to maintain that and be able to put that together. Tax reduction, I hear from my constituents all the time, as well as my other legislative members. We're hearing about how people are just being taxed way too much, and so we really need to try to lessen that impact on our Idahoans here. And we want to protect children. Both the born and the unborn, and protect those children. We see what's happening with our children, and it is just mind-boggling to me as a mother and as an aunt. I just can't believe what's transpiring with our children, and preserving the family. Our families are under attack, and so we need to do what we can to be able to preserve the family. And election integrity. Without election integrity, you know, we're in a bit of a doom and gloom situation if we don't have election integrity. So those are some of our top issues that we're trying to push. We start our session on Monday, so
All right.
we're ready to take the arrows and fight.
Well, go fight. Listen, when you have the grassroots with you in a state like Idaho, we're going to expect big things, and I know we'll see big things. So stay warm and stay in the fight.
We will do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. All right. Right next door in Montana is Teresa Manzella. She's our new chairman. We just launched today. Teresa, you there? Oh, we can't hear you.
My apologies. Good to be with you, gentlemen. Yes, haven't had an opportunity to decorate my office yet. As you can see, we gabbled it on Monday, and we're launching our Freedom Caucus today, and we're extremely excited to be with you. As you know, Andy, we started this effort on our Freedom Caucus late, end of September is when we got started. So we're just very excited that we were able to work with you and get as far as we have. And we have some fantastic principled people of strong character on our team, and we are ready to stand in the gap and be the firewall for freedom in Montana. And we have a great state director in Darren Gobb. We have a great congressman to emulate in Matt Rosendale. The citizens of Montana have given us a super majority after 16 years of a Democrat socialist governor. We now have a super majority, and Republicans hold every seat on the land board. And so it's all up to us. All eyes are on us. And what are we going to do with our supermajority? Are we going to use it for the freedom of our people and our citizens, or are we going to squander it? And right now we're fighting with the rhinos in the establishment Republicans over the rules. They want to weaken our rules and lower our blast motion so that they can blast bad bills out of committees onto the floor and pass them with their minority but they become the majority when they team up with the Democrats, just as so many states do have the same problem as us. And so we are working to expose them, and we have a great deal of grassroots support. And we've even solicited the support of the Montana GOP for the first time in history. They're actually calling this group out by name, which is extremely unusual. So that is because of the quality of the character of some of the individuals on our Freedom Caucus that have that kind of influence, and they have wielded it appropriately. So we have the same issues as the other states. One of our issues that might be particular to Montana is our judicial reform. The legislature is going head to head with the judicial branch, and we are fighting and vying for position, and we are tired of the judicial branch legislating from the bench. And that is going to be one of the issues that is at the top of our priority list. So with that, I'm just thankful to be with you all, and I'm thankful to be working with such a great group of individuals. And we'll look forward to our official launch on the 19th of January, and we'll see you then, Andy.
Great. Thanks, Teresa.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, that does it for the round the horn with our state freedom caucuses. This time next year, we're going to have probably 25 of them. So maybe we should turn this into a telethon rather than just a short podcast. Oh, Don Kiefer from Pennsylvania is back on. We'll let you close it out, Don.
Hey, Andy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna leave this one.
I think you've got it on speaker because we're hearing, like that old Coca-Cola commercial with the guy that keeps repeating himself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, I had to go and trying to get one of them to log in. So thank you. And listen, this has been a blessing to Pennsylvania. I really appreciate the Freedom Caucus nationally and what they've allowed us to do in Pennsylvania. We've had a quasi group that some come and go and never have stuck together. So having this formal organization has been great. Yesterday, we started with leadership, or not leadership elections. Sorry, we already had those. Well, we had to elect a speaker. Pennsylvania currently sits at 101 Republicans, 99 Democrats. And we had caucus elections to figure out who our speaker candidate would be. 2/3 voted for a Republican candidate. We went to the floor and our leadership decided it would be better to get a Democrat to flip. And that would put us at technically 102. But the deal that they struck was that this Democrat would get to be the speaker, and he would only move his registration to independent, right? So, well, it peels them off to 99 or 98 to 101. So it's, a deal with the devil. We got nothing out of it. I said, what was negotiated? And they thought they were going to have everybody just stick with them and go with this plan. So they nominated the Democrat, and the Republicans the Democrats to their surprise went along with their choice. And Freedom Caucus, they knew they didn't have us. And we were able to force our candidate to stay the course. His name was put up, and it was just leadership and a few other that peeled off and went with the Democrat. But we have the Democrat who says he's an independent now as our Speaker of the House. So that's where we're at. And they are now, my phone has been blowing up, begging for mercy. And my only response was, how do you go against your Republican caucus and then come back and expect to lead? So it's given us a lot of power.
Wow. Thanks, Dawn. That kind of corruption and that backroom dealing is appalling and yet not surprising. And we see it in all 50 states. So I'm glad you're there. Say hi to the crew. Like I said, the Pennsylvania Freedom Caucus is our largest one, 24 members strong. They're a good group like the others. A lot of camaraderie, a lot of fellowship. They're going to be a great group to fight in the Keystone State. I'm going to say a couple more comments and then turn it over to Mark to wrap things up. But thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you to the state directors. These are the folks that are on the network's payroll who are on the ground in these 10 states working with the Freedom Caucuses to advance liberty and to protect your family. So thank you, guys. I can't name you all, but you're very much appreciated, and I love working with you every day. Finally, please, if you like what you heard, support our efforts. You can go to our website at statefreedomcaucus.org and learn everything about what we're doing. If you are in a state that doesn't have a Freedom Caucus, shoot us a message and let us know that you've got some conservative lawmakers who want to start to help. But with that, Mark, why don't I turn it over to you and we'll round it out.
Well, we'll finish up by saying for all the patriots who are members of the State Freedom Caucus, network. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to put on the jacket of liberty and freedom and being willing to actually stand in the gap. It's for patriots like you that are making the difference in your respective states. For some of you that are just starting out, I would encourage you to reach out to some of the other state freedom caucuses to find out the good and the bad and the difficulties, and understand there will be setbacks, but at the end of the day, when you stand for the forgotten man and woman, when you stand for liberty, when you stand for freedom, it goes well. It goes well with you. You can rest well. And for all of you that are supporting this, we thank you for your support. I can tell you, Andy is very efficient with every dollar that's invested. I can tell you, it always is, what's the return? How's it going to produce a return? And for those of you that have joined that are part of the grassroots supporting these members, call them on the good days too. I can tell you, it gets very lonely when you're out there fighting the battle. And so make sure that you light up the phones and encourage the ones who are standing for freedom. And for those that are perhaps siding with the dark side, if you can't make them see the light, make sure they feel the heat. Take care.
All right, thanks, Mark. And everyone say a prayer for the House Freedom Caucus members up here in DC, Scott Perry, Andy Biggs. Mark showed them the way. We just want to root for them and hope they do good. But thank you, everybody. Keep us in your prayers. Go to statefreedomcaucus.org and let's go fight. Thanks.